Welcome back, randos.
Hiya.
It's a Fandom at Random.
It's another Fandom at Random time.
And, Brian, today we have quite the episode, my friend.
Yeah, we do. I'm very curious to see what you think because we're talking about
Halo
the series.
Halo, the TV series on Paramount Plus. Episode 1 has dropped. By the time, randos, you watch or listen to this, episode 2 may have dropped. But today, we are giving our random reaction of what we think about the series after one episode.
Yeah, we're breaking all the rules today. We're giving the whole season just a rating right off the first.
We're letting
episode.
our hair down. We're taking our helmets off. Spoiler alert.
Butt plugs out. What? Huh?
Nah, in. You gotta leave those in.
In.
But we've got a ton of fun stuff to cover today and a ton of not fun stuff to cover.
Depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, well, let's start with the not fun stuff. We gotta lead off with a fandom
fatality.
Oh man, this
unfortunately.
is a tough one. Yeah.
Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins, dead at the age of 50 years old.
That's fucking terrible.
I text you as soon as I saw this news, and I was bummed out. I'm a big Foo Fighters fan. I'm a big Dave Grohl fan.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's been a mainstay in the music scene since the early 90s, obviously with Nirvana. And, it sucks. Like, he's had to go through this twice.
Right. Kurt Cobain, I mean, like people have been saying, he was the drummer of a band who lost his lead singer. Now he's the lead singer of a band who lost his drummer. And Taylor was, by all means, his best friend for a lot longer than Kurt Cobain, unfortunately,
Yeah, I mean, 25 plus years, they have been pretty much best friends. And Dave Grohl's autobiography that he actually released last year, which the name is escaping me right now, but it's very highly reviewed. I recommend you check it out. But he has so many blurbs in there, talking about how he met Taylor, and just I think he was the drummer for Alanis Morissette.
Yeah,
when Jagged Little Pill came out,
like that, yeah.
And they went on tour, and he ended up meeting Dave Grohl. Was like, man, he's like, hey, he's like, you're a great drummer, and like instantly they had the chemistry, and
they were like, are we brothers?
Yeah, and they were. I mean, for almost 25 years, like, it sucks, man.
He explains how much of a good friend he was, and at 50 years old, the dude looked 30, first of all. Second of all, at 50, to die like that is just a tragedy no matter what. Yeah. I actually woke up the next morning, and MTV was playing music videos, first of all. I was like, holy shit.
All Foo Fighters?
And it was all Foo Fighters, and you could just tell the reenactments they had in the music videos that the chemistry between Dave and Taylor was nothing to be frowned upon. It was amazing.
Yeah, Learning to Fly is like one of the best music videos ever, where they're in the airplane.
Yep, as the fat women.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing.
But I mean, it's a bummer, and we'll have to see what the hell happens with Foo Fighters going forward. I mean, obviously Kurt's death ended Nirvana.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We'll have to see.
They've been going for so long. I can see Dave Grohl just kind of being like, you know what? Let's just wrap it up.
We've been holding off on doing it. We should do a Studio 666 review.
Yeah.
Maybe in honor of Taylor.
Yeah, because I got to watch it anyway. So
yeah, and it just came to streaming, so maybe we'll do that in the next week or two.
Yeah.
But rest in peace, Taylor Hawkins. You will be missed. Let's move on. One more little bit of fandom random news.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about the slap.
Yeah.
What did the Five Fingers say to the face?
Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. That's what they said.
You do not talk about my wife.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
But I mean, it is like snapped. It is fandom news because I mean, celebrity scandals and shit. That's a fandom, and it's Will Smith.
Yeah,
man.
one of the most emotionally stable, supposedly,
not anymore.
People in Hollywood blew the fuck up. Probably because he's a cuck now, and it just blew out of him. But something was going on there, and yeah, Chris Rock got slapped by Will Smith on stage live at the Oscars.
Yeah, over a joke that I mean, it was in bad taste with Jada Pinkett Smith.
Everyone keeps saying that. I'm like, fuck that dude. Some dude just made a joke about Pete Davidson's dead dad on 9/11, and he laughed it off.
Yeah,
It's like, it wasn't bad taste.
especially compared to what Chris Rock has said and done.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. It was pretty PG.
He even said, even after the joke, he's like, "Oh, come on, that was nice." He took it easy on her compared to everything else.
Oh, he took it like a champ. I mean, he's coming out on top. Will Smith looks like a douchebag right now.
There's some people defending him like, "I wish my husband would defend me like that." It's like, you toxic motherfucker.
Jada Pinkett Smith's also a piece of trash.
Yes,
cheated.
she is.
She's cheated on him multiple times. It has been documented, and he's been dealing with that shit. So my assumption is everything just boiled over.
He saw August in Chris's face, and he was like,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna get you finally, you asshole."
Oh shit.
And yeah, if
So
you
did,
really watch carefully, Will Smith laughs at the joke, and then he looks over, and Jada Pinkett Smith's like, "This is why I cheated on you, motherfucker." And he's like, "Oh, hell no. Gonna get jiggy with it now."
So you think Chris Rock had some Fresh Prince on his face after getting hit that hard?
And now my new favorite song is what was it? Got in one little fight. My mom got scared and said, "You can't go slapping Chris Rock because your wife's got no hair."
Oh shit.
Luckily, we're not big enough for Jada Pinkett Smith to send a hit squad after us.
I know,
for
like-
making fun of her.
Do we know for a fact Will Smith is not going to see this?
I think nothing's impossible, but I'd say it's pretty.
We're just going to hear all of a sudden like he's going to run down the stairs and just beat the shit out of us.
That I would pay for him to run down the stairs and come and slap us right now.
I
We'd
would,
actually
too.
blow up. Like, like, holy shit, Will Smith
Will.
just smacked that shit
Will.
out of us.
You won't do it.
You won't.
You won't do it, you cuck. Come on.
We'll get Chris Evans, our best friend over here.
That's
Fight
true.
you.
Oh, Chris Evans kicked the shit out of him.
Yeah. It is funny that he picks Chris Rock. Like, dude, you knew Chris Rock handled himself, man. He composed himself.
He did.
Because he wanted to blast off with comments because he goes, "I could," and then he wraps himself up and didn't go anywhere with it. Oh,
I mean, that's
props to him, man.
That's like 30 plus years of being a prominent comedian and dealing with hecklers.
Yeah.
And dealing with all the bullshit.
Smacklers.
No, if it wasn't a comedian of Chris Rock's tenure that was up there, if it was just like a regular celebrity that had done that and gotten slapped, I think it could have gone way differently.
Absolutely.
But luckily, Chris, I mean, let's face it, everybody hates Chris, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, I think he's used to it.
And let's be real. If it wasn't Will Smith, the dude would have been arrested, been charged, and in jail by the end of the night, not given an award and a standing ovation. You know?
I agree. All right, Brian, what do you say? Want to talk Halo TV series?
Yeah, let's get happy with it.
Oh, man.
Master Chief, order the kill now.
You must kill the girl, Master Chief.
The girl.
Oh, let's...
Put her in the oven now.
Jesus. Why is Master Chief like all of a sudden of the Aryan race?
Because they took his helmet off and he looks like part of the Aryan race, I guess.
He kind of does, actually.
Yeah, a little bit. I always thought that Pablo guy did. But anyway.
Pablo Schreiber.
Halo
All right,
the series.
yeah, we're going to talk about Halo, the TV series. So this has been many years in the making. Many failed attempts in the making. We had, Neil Blomkamp's, which eventually became District 9, which was a great film.
Oh, right,
But that
right.
was originally supposed to be a Halo movie series, which failed. We've had...
Horizon of Dawn or whatever.
Yeah, Forward Unto Dawn.
Oh,
was
Forward
it?
to Dawn, something
So
like that.
we've had, there's been some animated shit. So we've had people dabble in the Halo universe, but this was supposed to be the one. This is like, all right, Paramount Plus, they put all their chips on Halo.
Yeah.
And they looked at things like, all right, let's look at our competition. So, Disney, they've got The Mandalorian.
Yeah?
Netflix, they're already established. They got their own shit. So, like, what can we get? What can we do? We'll get our own Mandalorian. This guy's got a fucking helmet.
Fuck yeah.
So we'll do Halo. Yeah.
Halo.
And
I think that's a fair assessment. The next big thing to go after for your own streaming service. Halo seems like a pretty fair bet. until you decide not to go into the video games at all.
Yeah,
in
so
your
there's
design process.
gonna be spoilers as well, randos. We should say that right off the bat.
Yeah.
But we're only delving into episode 1. That's all that's been out. That's all we've seen. Everything else is going to be speculation. So if you have not seen episode 1, stop right now, come back, and pick this up after you've seen it.
Interesting fact too. We have a Halo veteran over on this side of the table, and a brand new Halo fan over on this side of the table. So we got 2 different perspectives on this one.
Yeah, and I mean we've dabbled in Halo Infinite quite a bit since it's come out. We'll talk about that a little bit and how it really did not play into this series at all.
Yeah, I think it helped for me not knowing any of the story from the game.
But right off the bat, I thought it was very funny that after this came out, Paramount Plus, again, this is like their thing that they're trying to push. And Paramount Plus, they were like everywhere, every news article you saw, I don't know if they were paying people off, but they're all saying the same thing. This is the biggest opening for a show ever on Paramount Plus streaming. Well, guess what? They haven't had anything else.
Yeah.
I mean,
haven't had anything.
Sure, they've had some Star Trek shit. They've had Picard or whatever, but I mean, that dwarfs in comparison to what this show should be.
Yeah.
And just to come out and say this is our biggest launch ever, they've had like 2.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's de facto. It was going to be the biggest anyway.
Marketing at its finest. It's something you can say, while true, that doesn't really have any bearing. So, I mean, go about it how you will. But yeah, you're right. They had they learned to crawl. Now they're learning to walk, and they're congratulating themselves hard.
So, so we finally got to see this series, which, as Brian mentioned before this episode came out, a very concerning bit of information leaked. And that was the fact that the showrunners themselves had never even played any of the Halo games.
And didn't refer to them as much as I understand while filming.
And while 343 Industries was involved with this and collaborated, we have to keep in mind that, Halo at its core, when you talk about Master Chief and you're trying to make something, it's Bungie.
Yeah.
Bungie was the original studio behind Halo all the way back to the OG Xbox. So Halo 1 through 3, which were widely regarded as the best of the series,
Bungie.
that was Bungie.
Yes.
And then 343 took over and and they redeemed themselves a little bit with Infinite, but it's got plenty of issues going on right now.
Right, but bottom line is, if you're looking for the hardcore Halo experience, 343 is not the people to work with.
So they already had pre-warned us that this is I believe they're calling it a silver timeline, where it's its own unique story and timeline within the Halo universe, and they're taking bits and pieces of the lore, kind of what Disney did with Star Wars and the expanded universe.
Yep.
They kind of said, we're not completely getting rid of it. We'll kind of cherry pick what we do and don't want. But they've been doing the same now with this. And my God, they missed the fucking mark so badly in the first episode.
Did they?
With how they should have launched this and how they should have done it. That's why I am super curious, because again, this is me, hardcore.
Yeah.
I've played the games. I know the lore. I've read some of the books.
And based off things I've heard from Halo fans, they're not happy. I'll get it out of the way and say right now that I was not angry at the end of this episode and actually quite enjoyed what I saw.
Okay.
Yeah. There were flaws for sure, but I wouldn't say I hated it or even disliked it.
Well, let's get into. Do you want to talk about the casting first, real quick?
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about some of the main casting, and then we're going to kind of get into some of the main plot lines and things that we either had issue with or we enjoyed in the first episode. So you got to lead with Pablo Schreiber,
right? The dude's size is already there.
He's 6'5".
Yeah, for a Master Chief, from what I understand, is supposed to be very big, very tall, and fast.
Yeah, I mean, but Spartans are 7 foot plus, and they did a good job of somewhat creating that illusion.
Yeah.
In the show that they were kind of bigger than they were. But I mean, I will agree with you. I think that he did the best he could with what he was given.
I like him as an actor. I've liked him in everything I've seen him in.
Yeah.
So I've actually been a fan from the beginning. And when I say I'm not a Halo veteran, I barely even know what Master Chief's voice sounded like. Like, I'm starting off fresh here. But I will say his voice felt a little off from what you would expect Master Chief to sound like.
It was The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
They very much were like, all right, this is what's successful in The Mandalorian. Do that. Give us that, because look, that's printing money.
Right.
And I honestly, when I first heard it in like the trailer thing, I didn't like it. After going through the episode, I had much less of an issue with it. It didn't bug me that much.
Right. It sounded a little off, but it didn't bother me. No.
But overall, the look of Master Chief, I mean, the armor looked badass.
Yeah.
I thought the Spartans all looked pretty damn good.
They did.
We're going to talk about some inconsistencies
Yes.
when it comes to CGI costume design in a little bit.
Definitely.
When we get into the episode breakdown. And then other kind of major characters here. So we had Olive Gray as Miranda Keyes, which they used her a little bit. Again, this is a character that was prominent in the OG Halo series. And I don't know, they kind of made her seem like a big dummy. Like the way she handled that whole interaction with Quan, and that was not good.
She didn't know where she was.
Shabana Azmi as Admiral Margaret, who is definitely going to... She's coming off kind of as the antagonist right now.
I already hate her.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. But
yeah, of course.
I mean, let's talk about. There's really only a couple main characters we should really focus on.
It didn't open up a lot in the first episode, so we didn't see Cortana.
No, we did not see Jen Taylor.
Yeah, that's what I
So
thought.
Jen Taylor, the voice of Cortana in the
on.
games. Yeah, we're waiting on that. We've already seen snapshots of what she looks like, which we weren't a huge fan of, but maybe it's going to look better when we see more of it. I don't know.
Right.
So Yoren Ha as Kwa Ha Bu. I'm sorry, Quan Ha Bu.
Yeah.
And
Kwanabu.
She is without question, arguably, she's almost a protagonist in the first episode. I mean, more so than John.
That's how
the
it's
Master
coming
Chief.
off. Yeah. It seems like they want her to be the protagonist with Master Chief as the proto sidekick.
And we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But I thought her acting was fine.
Yeah.
I really didn't have too much of an issue.
She has some charisma.
I had much more of an issue with all of the kind of ancillary characters that were around her on that planet that she was on.
Yeah.
Which we're going to talk about that
Seemed
too.
a little forced.
And then obviously you had the other Spartans, which they haven't gone into too much yet, but they're going to. They're 100% going to.
Yeah, because we had, is Soren 066 one of them?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And then the last one, again, is Natasha McElhone, who is playing Dr. Catherine Halsey.
Oh, from Californication. I love her, man.
I do too, man.
Yeah. And her acting is good, and she was good in this. I liked her. She seems like, I don't know the story behind her, but she seems like somebody who might be on Master Chief's side, so...
Yeah, I mean, the Halsey we're used to seeing, at least that we're used to seeing in the games, is usually one step ahead of everything and everyone.
Yeah.
And she is she's pretty hardcore and brutal. And they delved into this a little bit, like talking about the Spartan program.
Yeah.
And what they go through. And they even admitted, they borderline abduct these children.
That's how
experiment
it came off,
on them. Make them the perfect soldiers. They wipe their memories so that's not an issue for them.
Right.
But we're going to talk about that. But those are the really the main popular characters I think that we're going to have going forward.
Yeah, the ones that matter at this point.
So now getting into my notes about the episode.
Yeah.
So my first question is, who was the target audience for this show?
I think it is non-Halo fans and maybe casual Halo fans.
Because hardcore Halo fans are not going to like this show.
No, they're not.
Anytime you take somebody that's passionate about a fandom or really enjoys something and you take it upon yourself to completely just twist, I don't want to say twist it, but you already have you already have an established canon and established storyline that you can follow. And I understand, like, maybe you want to do your own thing. You don't want to completely rehash it, but to completely redo it in every way, shape, or form pisses off the hardcore fans. We see this happen time and time again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's also alienating new fans because they threw a lot. Like, if you didn't know anything about Halo and you were just going into this show, they threw a lot at you. And that's why I'm asking, like, as somebody that doesn't know as much about Halo as a hardcore fan, were you kind of like scratching your head a couple points? Like, what is going on here?
The first half of the episode, I mean, I know enough to know that the Covenant is the enemy, right?
Yes. In this,
I know they're the enemy. They're invading at the beginning of the show, and I knew Silver Team and Master Chief were gonna show up because I know the basics of the game, and I played a little bit of all of them. But for the first half of the show, I definitely was like, what the fuck? I was like that, meme going around, like the guy with his eyes bugged out.
Yeah.
But it was hard to follow. But by the end, it definitely is going in a direction that's like not deeply ingrained in the Halo mythos, it seems like.
Oh yeah, it's going on its own tangent completely, and we're going to talk about that by the end.
By the end of the episode, I got more intrigued by it and understood it a little better.
Another thing I wanted to mention was, we mentioned Halo Infinite, how that's been that's kind of been your experience with Halo so far, and for the most part, the multiplayer was good, but I mean, there's certain things it's lacking. It's been buggy. There's been no updates, which they need desperately.
Yes.
But how in the hell was there no cross promotion from 343 Industries with this TV series coming out with Halo Infinite? You would think they'd be all over that.
Yeah. Anybody in their right mind, Fortnite, Call of Duty, even PUBG, I think, did it at one point, crosses over with main pop culture shit. When you have the team working on the game and the TV show, that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it made no sense to me.
No.
Perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
And then again, why they thought it was a good idea to deviate from the OG Halo story, I don't know. It just does not make sense to me, other than the fact that maybe it's 343's own kind of hubris that they were like, you know what, that was Bungie. We want to do our own thing, and we want to reboot it, and those games don't even exist to us.
Well,
which was a mistake in my mind, but
I think it's also smart, because if you really think about hardcore fan bases like Star Wars, Marvel, Star Trek, and Halo, how many times have those movies, TV shows, games, whatever have you, hit it out of the park by trying to, attract the original fans the first try? Almost zilch to none. There's always the hardcore fans that complain about something that's wrong with it, no matter what. So to go with a fresh storyline when you're not even trying to attract the hardcore target audience anyway, seems like the best bet to me. Because then there's nothing for hardcore Halo fans to really complain about, because it doesn't have anything to do with the games anyway. And if they can make the new storyline good enough, then all the new fans and the new people joining the Halo universe will love it.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
The live-action Netflix Cowboy Bebop series that came out recently, which we did a review on last year. But good example, you had the hardcore anime Cowboy Bebop fans. Anime came out, or the live action came out.
Yeah.
And again, they adapted the shit out of it, and it pissed off the hardcore fans. And then the people that weren't hardcore fans actually kind of liked the show.
Yeah.
And they were pissed that it got canceled.
Right.
I'm getting like a lot of similarities.
I can just see in the boardroom, wheels spinning. Okay, we're not going to follow the games. Well, then why do we want to try and attract them by adding in the original story? Why not just go with something fresh, because we're trying to look for a fresh audience anyway?
Yeah.
I can see the wheels spinning and why that would be a good idea to them.
Especially when it's a bunch of showrunners and execs that haven't even played the games.
Yeah. And, I mean, So far, it's one episode. It's so hard to tell.
Yeah.
So far, I am not having a bad time with it. It's not a great show by any means, but I did enjoy it.
So, saying it's not a great show, it screams generic sci-fi fantasy to me.
Pretty much.
I mean, it's just, it's insane. With the budget this show was given to be the forerunner, pun intended, if you're a hardcore Halo fan, to be the forerunner of Paramount Plus's network, really, I think they fell flat on their face.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, they had everything. I mean, the Halo property, they could have done so much with it, and they didn't. Instead, we got, in my opinion, a shit ton of just pointless, just exposition between characters, like with the UNSC, and then going back to what was the name of the planet? Madrigal.
Madrigal.
Welcome to the planet Madrigal. We're on our way. That was an Encanto reference, by the way, Rendos.
Okay. I don't have children, so I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, we're on. So now we're on the planet Madrigal, and where they apparently AK-47s are still a thing in the future.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have futurist. The Covenant are holding like instant like laser death weapons.
Yeah, and the energy swords.
Yeah. So I don't know what the hell was going on there. But I mean, it was like if I'm a hardcore, not even a hardcore, if I'm a general Halo fan, and I somewhat know the property, and I'm going into a show like this, I only want to see one thing. I want to see the Spartans kicking ass.
A warthog. Oh, we're on different pages. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
And I want to see just Master Chief being badass, getting into a fight, and just kicking ass for the majority of the episode. I don't need all this pointless just drama and exposition between characters I don't give a shit about.
Yeah, they all died anyway, so who gives a shit? Like, if they were just going to keep one character alive, then we didn't need the whole 10-minute intro between the village and them taking drugs and everything else. We could have just got right into the action.
Too? It's like, oh, Quan, you're the best. You're so good at finding these magic mushrooms.
Yeah, right.
Like, what the hell was all that about?
Thank you, Tripmaster. I have no idea. That was weird, and I didn't know where they were going with it. And then everyone died.
Well, let's get into everyone tied. Let's talk about the battle on the planet Madrigal.
Yes.
So I will say, at least they did not shy away from the violence.
I was very happy with that. I didn't expect any gore from this show.
And they gave us gore.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw limbs getting blown off, people being vaporized.
Yes, sir.
They kept it pretty graphic, which I was happy about. I'm glad they didn't.
Because those aliens wouldn't have scared me. But because they were searing limbs off and vaporizing people, I was like, oh shit, that's actually pretty powerful.
And I will say, like going back to like the original Halo, like the elites were scary, man.
Yeah.
Like when you were going in and then they throw the active camouflage on, you don't know where they are, and the energy sword comes out, like they were freaky.
Right.
And I'm glad they captured some of that in that initial battle scene, with them just going and laying just goddamn waste.
Yes.
To these insurrectionist rebels, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, their guns could not touch these aliens at all.
No, they have the active armor.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not denting that.
Yeah. So it was just a slaughter.
But I was bummed out because like the CGI on the elites of the Covenant, it looked okay.
So
it wasn't.
The first time we see them, it's like, it looks good, but something's off. And then there's certain points throughout the battle where I was like, holy shit, that looks good. And then other points I'm like, fuck, that looks bad. It was
inconsistent.
Really hit or miss. Yeah.
There were a couple times too, some of the weapons, like I noticed with Chief when he had the assault rifle and like he dropped it. You could very much tell it was CGI, like to shit.
Yep.
Like it was just like, it was floaty, like when it went down, and it did not look good.
No.
Yet, then you look at like the armor they're wearing, which looked really good because it was.
But when he was running sometimes and moving, it looked kind of stuttery. Did you notice that?
Yeah, that may have been intentional.
Okay.
Like because even in like the games when you see Spartans running and stuff, it kind of does look like that.
All right.
Because it's kind of no man's land between human and robot.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm all right with that. But what I'm not okay with is, so you had the elites. Where was the other Covenant? Where were the grunts? Where were the jackals? I mean,
the guy who go like this. I thought that was a whole different species of alien. I didn't even know. Yeah.
No, so it's they're a collaborative. They're called the Covenant, but they're all under the or within the Covenant.
Okay.
So you have the jackals, the brutes, the elites.
Okay.
Which I think it's the Sangheili. I believe they're called. That's their actual race. But
all right.
And they're all within the Covenant. But
I don't think a jackal would have fit in that scene. Like somebody just gets their legs seared off, and one of them runs up like.
Well, those are the grunts.
Oh, okay.
The grunts are like the comic.
See,
the
my
comic
inexperience is showing right now.
The jackal would have been perfect though, because the jackals are usually like snipers.
Oh, are they like the thin little raggly things? But kind of tall.
Yeah, and they got like the spiky hair. So
yes.
I mean, like even like throwing one jackal in this episode with a sniper rifle, taking somebody out.
Yeah,
that would have been cool.
That's a good point.
But it was just all elites, and
maybe
I don't know.
I'm hoping, and maybe there's a story explanation for that. Probably not, but maybe. Well,
let's talk about the Spartans dropping in. How'd you feel about when the Spartans dropped in?
That was badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to root for them. First of all, I thought they were like heroes. They are absolutely not, apparently. They're like mercs who are paid to kill whatever, whenever.
They're not mercs. They work for the UNSC based off of Reach.
Okay.
Which, I mean, it really comes down to they're kind of like the authority, or what they believe to be the authority, within the galaxy. And then you have a lot of these other planets that, again, if you look at Madrigal, they want their own independence.
Yes.
They don't want to be under the thumb of the UNSC. They're like, no, we're cool on our own.
Okay.
So they're like, okay, well, it's either, pretty much join the Empire or else.
Yeah.
To, again, compare it to Star Wars. Like, it's like, you either
sense.
join or you don't. And if you don't join, well, guess what? We're going to send the Spartans in.
Yeah. But really, Master Chief shined. Like the other Spartans, I didn't see anything special with them.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the point.
It's generic. The point and whatever. It would have been really cool to see them as like a team unit, though, fucking shit up. And not just Master Chief in the middle of a big arena taking out every elite that came his way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yes and no, because the whole thing with the Spartans is, even though they are a team and they coordinate, each one of them is a one-man army.
Okay.
And they were trying to cover a lot of ground quickly, but even then, like, I know they came in kind of at the 11th hour, but they didn't do a great job because guess what? Everybody still pretty much died.
I was going to say, even though they were badass, they were really late to the badass party.
But they did a good job emphasizing, like, even when Chief earlier on, before he touched the artifact, like when he saw Quan, he literally, like, on his visor, it just said, it was like whatever, like insurrectionist or whatever, gave the vitals, and he immediately disregarded her. So even when they were in there and they were killing the elites of the Covenant, they weren't prioritizing saving human life.
Yeah, no, because it's like 122 dead, no survivors. And then he turns around and he's like, one survivor.
And then immediately walks away.
Just goes to his duty somewhere else.
And that did a good job kind of setting up the shift we get later in this episode.
Yeah, which is
all of a sudden the humanizing of the Chief.
Kind of what I liked. And I had a feeling, I mean, I guess we'll get to it, but I had a feeling that hardcore fans would have had a problem with that part.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But how did you feel about the first person shooter moments? When they went,
I think they looked worse than the game.
It didn't look good.
It did not look good.
I thought it was corny.
Yeah. I thought it was. So have you seen Hardcore Henry? Or
even Doom?
Act of Valor or Doom. So all of them did the first person thing better than these guys did. It didn't look good.
Yeah, every time they went to it, and you saw like it was like
look away.
I don't know. It
It wasn't like embarrassing, but it was close.
I felt a little ashamed.
Maybe for
like as a Halo fan, like as a gamer, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, and there's like there was a boardroom of executives like, oh shit,
oh, this looks great.
This is gonna be so
Meanwhile,
cool.
all the nerds watching it are like, that's definitely a Series S being played on. He's only running 1070, fucking nerd. Yeah. But yeah, they didn't accomplish. They thought they did something, and they didn't. Yeah.
So another kind of cool thing that I thought was neat, we got to see High Charity, which is really cool. That's pretty much the capital, like the world of the Covenant, which is you see it floating in space.
Yeah.
They cut to it, and we get to see some of the High Prophets.
Charlie Murphy. I've been waiting to say it all episode. Charlie Murphy.
Not that Charlie Murphy, but Charlie Murphy, the actress who portrays Maki, who she is playing the human that has allied with the Covenant. And, this is so
weird.
This is so weird based on the lore of the games, because the Covenant are more so focused on fucking genocide. They want to get rid of humanity, because humanity, which they end up figuring out, which is why they want to kill them all, humanity are reclaimers. And what the reclaimers can do, they can access the Forerunner tech.
Okay.
Which you see when Master Chief finds the artifact.
Yes.
And the Covenant, they can't do that. They can't activate that shit.
Okay, and we don't know what it technically does yet either, right? Besides power shit on and off.
I'll say yes. Yeah. I mean, I know some of the other things the Forerunner tech can do. They're going to show you that, right, I'm assuming, in the show. But it was just so curious to see.
Yeah, because they're like the demon can power it like you. She's like me, like you. So yeah, that seems weird.
But I'm curious to see what they do with her, and it will be cool to see more interaction. Like if they're showing more of High Charity, the High Prophets, the Covenant lore.
Yeah,
that could be pretty cool. I'm really curious to see if we get to see the Arbiter. Are they going to send the Arbiter in at some point?
Yeah, the Arbiter.
So, will we get to see some of these things? And I've got a couple other theories as we get towards the end of this reaction.
Are we gonna get the grapple hook? I wonder. I don't know,
dude.
I don't know.
Badass.
Yeah, it would.
It was one of the best parts. It probably is the best part of Infinite.
This is kind of where it took a turn for me, and I enjoyed it a lot more. When they got on the ship, when we started seeing High Guard or whatever you called it.
High Charity, dude.
High Charity, yeah. I wasn't on that part of my notes, but
yeah, so Master Chief ends up finding the artifact, which is Forerunner technology.
Okay.
Which then gives him flashbacks of his actual family, which, as a Spartan, all that shit's been wiped.
So let me just say,
now it's coming back.
Is like the original Halo game very reminiscent of RoboCop? Because I was getting hardcore RoboCop vibes here.
Yeah, they went full RoboCop in this episode.
So not in the game, but in this episode?
Not in the game.
All right.
Not in the game.
That makes sense.
You really don't get too much of that. I mean, a little bit, but it was like full on the nose. In this was blatantly RoboCop.
Yes, very.
I was honestly expecting like Master Chief to be like, Murphy.
Yeah, exactly. You have 3 seconds to put down the weapon.
So, yeah, I don't know, man, but
yeah,
this was the turning point. He touches the relic, he gets the memories, all that shit starts going on. They end up getting on the ship, heading back to Reach, and this is when Halsey ends up seeing, she gets the footage. Halsey realizes what's going on.
Yeah.
And she knows that he accessed some kind of ancient technology. At this point, she may even have knowledge of Forerunner tech. I'm not sure yet.
Either way, she's a little wet. She knows what's happening, and she wants more of it.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking back on my comment, and now I understand why she was on Master Chief's side. Like, protect Master Chief at all costs, because he's got the Destroyer, and I want it.
Yeah, and at the same time, like as fucked up as Halsey is and some of the shit, the very like ethically questionable shit she does scientifically,
Yeah.
because she can, you know, she does have feelings for the Spartans because she almost views them as like her children.
Yeah.
In a way,
Which is
because she created
a
them.
very common theme in shows or storylines like this.
And you see them hinting at, you
I
know,
appreciate it.
she even mentions the Cortana initiative or the Cortana program.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, this is why we need to implement it with John and have them, you know, interface. And so, I mean, that is coming.
Is that Miranda Kay's friend that died? Is that who they were like, oh, well, she should be Cortana? I kind of got lost on that part.
No,
But no, the doctor is supposed to be Cortana, no?
So in the games, Cortana is actually based off of Halsey's, pretty much her persona.
Okay.
And her mind. And then Cortana eventually takes her own kind of persona and form, but the basis of Cortana is from Halsey.
Which is basically why we're getting like a Wish version of Natasha McElhone.
Yes.
I'm terrible. That was so mean. I shouldn't have said that. I take it back. I'm sorry.
No, we have Cortana at home.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
No. Good.
So,
they have Master Chief has the power, and he brings that artifact with him on the ship.
Yeah, and then we get to see the whole scene with again,
Quan Ho.
Yeah, thank you, Quan.
Quan Ho.
We see the whole thing with Quan. She explains Master Chief killed her mother, and at this point, you can start seeing, even through the helmet, you can start seeing the emotions. Again, similar to Mando.
Yeah.
What they do in The Mandalorian, but you know, it keeps evolving, and then eventually Master Chief gets a little blip. Like, it's like, oh shit, you gotta
kill Quan. Yeah. Kill
initiate Order 6.
Kill 177 or something like that. And he's like, and then she's like, oh, so what's going on? What happens after that? He's like, we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
I love that part.
Yeah.
He just walks away. We're figuring it out.
But at this point, he's blatantly ignoring protocol, which
is highly unlikely.
Yeah.
I mean, highly
irregular,
strange of
Yeah.
Master Chief.
Yeah, Spartan in general. Spartans aren't supposed to be able to do that.
No, they can't.
And you know, they end up back on Reach. They're like, oh shit. They end up killing the oxygen, trying all these different ways. And Chief ends up, he's like, all right, screw this. You know, they end up going back. And then this is the part that pissed me off. He takes his goddamn helmet.
There's only one way for this to work. I gotta take off my helmet.
Even though she's holding like a shotgun.
Yeah, I know. It made no sense. Like, I guess you could write it up to the she'll only trust me if she can see my face type thing, but it didn't bother me. I don't know the lore behind the not taking off the helmet. I know the Mando can't do it because it's part of his fucking religion, and there's consequences to it. But Master Chief, if you want to explain to the newbies that may be listening,
he's never taken his helmet off.
What
Ever.
about in the books?
No.
Because I've heard through the grapevine that in the books there have been at least a few times he takes the helmet off.
I have not. Maybe.
And
I
not
have
described
not read
his
that book.
face in great detail, but he has taken it off.
So I have not read those particular books.
Okay.
It may have happened.
It's just something I've heard.
I don't know if that's considered like canon or not.
Yeah, it might not even be true. It might not be canon, but that's what I've heard.
And it's also tricky, again, comparing it to The Mandalorian, like where, you know, Mando never takes his helmet off.
Yeah.
But then you have Bo-Katan who will instantly she'll whip it off. She'll whip it all off.
She'll whip her hair back and forth.
You know, Master Chief is a Spartan too. But there
there-
are other versions of Spartans that are a bit more loosey-goosey with taking them off.
Fucking rebels. Is there a reason why he does? Because there's a reason for Mando. It's against the religion of the Mandalorians.
No, he just never does it.
Okay, see, so then I don't see what's the big fucking deal.
So, okay. So, the whole, again. He never takes the helmet off in the games, and even going back to Mando, when Mando did finally take the helmet off, We were like many episodes in
Right.
before he did it. They blew their load in episode 1. It's
Yeah.
like, come on. You need to. Don't do that.
Yeah. See,
You
it
blew in
didn't-
episode 1, and then the thing that
Everyone's
pissed me
freaking
off.
out about
so
it.
then he takes the controls of the fucking plane as it's landing, like all the guns, everything are trained on him, and he still doesn't put the goddamn helmet back on. It's like it's all glass.
I mean, it's kind of like
And
I'm
everybody's
flying a plane here. I can't reach my helmet.
Dude, it's like it made
no,
no
you're
sense.
right.
Like if he had, I would have had less of an issue with this if he took it off. It was the humanizing moment.
Yeah.
And then when shit's hitting the fan, he goes, "Oh fuck," and then puts it back on.
Yeah, he does kind of relate that it's his lifeline, pretty much, the suit and the helmet. So yeah, I can understand the fact that when he goes back into the battle mode, he should have put it back on. But people are like losing their shit over this, and I'm like, is there a strong reason why he shouldn't? But no one can seem to answer that.
Yeah. So then they completely deviate from the storyline, and they make Master Chief go AWOL.
Yes.
He full on goes AWOL to help out Quan because he does not want her to die. Ends up touching the relic again, and ends up pretty much sending out an EMP that knocks out everything on Reach.
Yeah, and then does it activate the ship he's on again,
Yes.
or does it like transform it? I couldn't tell.
No, it pretty much activated
Okay,
it again. And
yeah.
I don't know. Again, this is all new to me, like
Yeah,
based on the
that's
Halo
true.
lore. I don't
Right.
know what is going on with this relic, but it's Forerunner technology. We know that. And he ends up bailing, and now he's like enemy number 1 of the UNSC, which pisses me off.
Well, let's clarify one thing too. Forerunner technology. Did they explain that in the episode?
No.
Okay, so why don't we explain it for us noobs over here? What is Forerunner?
So the Forerunners are so originally it was and I'm going off memory here, I think it was the precursors were like the original race or entities of the entire known universe.
Okay.
And then the Forerunners came right after, and they were the ones that were more well known. They were the ones that created almost everything, all the galaxies, the technology, this or that.
Got it.
And then shit hit the fan. They got on out. And that's when later on you had other races like the Covenant. Eventually humanity came in. But humanity is almost like a cousin of the Forerunners, if you will.
Okay.
Which is why they are called Reclaimers. They can access Forerunner technology. So all of that ancient high-end technology, humanity can access and use it.
Okay.
Like the Halo rings.
So it's something I've been watching on YouTube lately, right? Ancient Egypt and how the aliens helped build the pyramids and all this shit, right? But it all disappeared in some kind of collapse. Us humans are kind of related to those aliens, and we can access technology if we ever found it.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
That's exactly what it is.
All right. I can get on board with that.
And I was cool with them doing that because that is the lore.
Yeah.
That's what they're getting into. So curious to see.
Yes.
But I wasn't cool with them, at least in episode 1. Like, Chief is supposed to be like, he's humanity's like beacon of hope. He's this badass, and like I understand they're trying to humanize him, this or that, but they could have done all that without him going AWOL. Maybe they'll fix it in episode 2.
Maybe.
But it didn't seem like it from what I've seen. Right now, it seems like the entire military is like, holy shit, this is a high-end military asset we need to now take out or get back.
Because it seems like the military will not take him back, but the special ops group that he's part of will have their own little thing.
Well, you heard Halsey herself. She said she went right up to the Spartans and she's like, disregard,
protect him.
You protect Master Chief.
Right. So it looks like
and they were and the Spartans were on board with that. They're like,
absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. And they would have.
So anyone pointing at Master Chief is not friendly.
And I mean, they mentioned it in this show. It's been seen in the lore. I mean, any Spartan is good for over 100 normal soldiers easily.
Yes, yeah.
So I mean, they could have effed up. You saw them leveling their weapons. Like
absolutely.
If they wanted to, they could have effed a lot of people up there.
So I guess, he might not get back into the, what are they called? The UNSC.
Yeah,
The UNSC's
he will.
good
He will though.
graces.
He will get back in.
Yeah, but that special group he's part of with the Spartans and Dr. Halsey, I could definitely see that turning into a thing. But
Yeah, I mean they have to.
they left on a big cliffhanger. So
Yeah, they have to let him back in, and so a couple like things now speculating. So the show's already been greenlit for season 2.
that's fucking weird to me.
And again, we're only one episode in.
Yeah.
But talking it out, I feel a bit better about it now.
Yeah.
Now that we talked it out, I almost feel like this has been a therapy session for me.
Right.
You know, getting another opinion.
To be honest, I didn't have any motivation to watch this episode. I knew we needed to because we're a pop culture podcast. We need to talk about Halo, the TV series, you know? But I watched it and I was like, okay, actually, I wanted to keep watching it and I was happy by the end. That's not to say there wasn't anything that could be worked on, but yeah.
Yeah, they do need to. I'm really hoping though that this needs to pick up steam quickly.
Yes.
And I'm very curious to see what direction they go in episode 2 and beyond. I will say initially what I've heard of, I know a couple people like Angry Joe, fellow YouTuber.
Wait, you've known Angry Joe this whole time?
Well, yeah, we're BFFs, man. But you know they have already seen episode 2 with the press release, and they have said it is awful.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they said it is.
Is he a fan? Is he a Halo fan?
Huge Halo fan.
Okay.
Gigantic Halo fan.
Okay.
So but again, I am one to reserve my own judgment. I will check it out. I think it drops. Is it Thursday?
I think so, yeah.
Thursday of this week.
Yep.
So I'll wait and see. I'm curious to see, like, things I'm wanting to see. Will they introduce the Flood in this series?
The Flood. Yeah.
So Brian has no idea who the Flood is.
Well, I thought it was a what? What? What's happening right now?
So, to me, if they've already greenlit this for season 2, my assumption is, at least based on the viewers or the people that they've let already see the entire season, is that the show is going to get better as it goes on. Right now, it seems like they're building the characters.
Yeah.
They're touching on the lore. If by the end of this season they can do us just hint at, or maybe even show the Flood showing up, I'm back on board.
Yeah.
Which you have no idea what the Flood is, do you?
No. No, negative. I've played the beginning of 2 and 3 for like an hour.
I will give you I'll give you a 30 to 45 second briefing on what the Flood is. And Rando's, again, if you haven't played the Halo series, if you don't want to know this, tune out. But if you're curious, I'll kind of give you so the Flood were when the Forerunners ended up kind of like dissipating, going away.
Okay.
Their essence, DNA, whatever was left behind, it ended up pretty much mutating into what became the Flood. The Flood are, the best way I can describe them is almost so The Last of Us, like the zombies and shit and that.
The clickers.
The clickers.
Yeah. Okay.
That is the Flood.
Ooh.
And they are extremely hard to kill. They multiply quickly.
Okay.
And they are, like, when they show up, shit gets bad.
I can fucks with that.
And they will just take over planets instantly.
Oh,
so,
hell
like,
yes.
So this is like, this almost becomes a, you know, in the Halo games you had, it was all, you know, the UNSC, humanity versus the Covenant. Then the Flood shows up.
When did the Flood come in?
The Flood came in Halo 2, I believe.
All right.
On Halo 2, when you
I
go...
gotta play these games on the MCC collection.
Yeah, I'm trying... Again, this is all... It's kind of blurring together. I think it's with 343 Guilty Spark, and you end up going to... I think it's the library.
Fucking nerd. I'm just trying to piece it all together,
I
remember every fucking detail from the game.
I think. Again, it's been a long time since I played the OG games, but...
It's all right. I'm glad we have a Halo fan on here for this episode because I am clueless.
But I will say,
one
like, dude...
subject I'm clueless
Like,
on.
you're a horror fan.
Yeah.
When the Flood show up, it is...
It sounds...
amazing.
right up my alley.
You are literally just running through hallways to get out, and they are storming after you. You've got a shotgun. You're just trying to slow them down, and it is just an onslaught. So if they can do this, if they can get the Flood by the end of this season, or at least tease them, this series could have some legs. And after talking to you, I do feel a bit better about it.
Okay, well, that's good.
You know, I'm gonna give it. I gotta stay open minded. I want to give it a chance. Again, this is a random reaction. We're not gonna give it a review score yet.
No,
but I would say, watch it, form your own opinion. Whether you're a Halo fan or not, you may enjoy it, and we'll see what the rest of the series kind of takes us.
It's definitely one of those things. If you're a hardcore Halo fan, chances are you're probably not going to like it, but it's worth watching the first episode. If you're not somebody who played all the Halo games and knows the mythos religiously, it's a fun sci-fi action ride, at least for right now. And I'm interested to see where it goes from here, so I'll be tuning in next time. Yeah.
All right, randos. Well, that sums up our random reaction of Halo, the TV series, Episode 1. We'll be back next week. Man, there's so much good fandom content on the horizon.
Really is. Let's just talk about Elden Ring again. We'll come up with something cool for you.
Yeah, we always do. We always do. But fandom@random.com. Like us, follow. We really appreciate it. Thanks, randos. We'll catch you next time. Later.